Why can you scroll through social media for 3 hours without blinking, but studying or working for 30 minutes feels like torture? Is there a scientific explanation for this? The answer is yes. Scientists even wired a mouse's brain to study this phenomenon. In this video, we will explore the results of this mind-blowing experiment. Today, I'm revealing a brain hack that will change everything for you. How do you trick your brain into actually enjoying the hard work that leads to success? Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something that will transform your ability for productivity. It is controlling your mood, your sleep, your concentration, and all your body functions. By the end of this video, you'll have a practical system to rewire your brain and start enjoying the hard work that creates real results in your life. This video is based on the most recent studies. You can find the links in the description box. Let's find out the answer for the question. Why is it so easy for you to play video games or browse social media for hours, but so difficult to study or work on important projects for even 30 minutes? The answer lies in a brain chemical called dopamine. Many people think dopamine is the pleasure molecule, but that's not quite right. Dopamine is actually what makes you desire things. It's what gives you the motivation to take action. Your brain prioritizes activities based on how much dopamine it expects to receive. High dopamine activities, you're motivated to do them. Low dopamine activities, your brain says not worth the effort. To understand just how powerful dopamine is, consider this fascinating experiment scientists conducted with rats. Researchers implanted electrodes in rats' brains that stimulated their reward centers whenever they pulled a lever. The results were shocking. The rats became so obsessed with pulling the lever that they refused to eat or sleep. They just kept pressing it until they collapsed from exhaustion. But when researchers blocked dopamine release in other rats, they became completely unmotivated to pull the lever and do other things. They wouldn't even get up to drink water. If food was placed directly in their mouths, they'd eat it, but they had zero motivation to get it themselves. That's the power of dopamine. And while this is an extreme example, you can see similar patterns in your daily life. Have you ever found yourself mindlessly scrolling through your phone when you know you should be doing something else? In today's world, we are bombarded with various stimuli that constantly trigger dopamine release. From social media notifications to binge-watching shows, our brains get a non-stop dopamine hit. This daily release of dopamine leads us into a cycle of seeking more and more stimulation, which leaves us feeling unmotivated for tasks that don't provide an immediate reward. It's a modern problem that's affecting most of our society's productivity, mental health, and overall well-being. So which activities release dopamine? Any behavior where you anticipate a potential reward will trigger it. Engaging in pleasurable activities such as eating or drinking things you like, having sex, and using drugs and alcohol lead to a surge of dopamine. And other positive things like achieving goals also activates the brain's reward system. But if there's no immediate reward, your brain won't release much dopamine. Some examples of high dopamine activities in your daily life are scrolling through social media, playing video games, watching videos online, eating junk food, gambling, and games of chance. Notice something interesting about social media and similar digital activities? They're designed to give you random rewards. You never know when you'll see something exciting or get a notification, and that uncertainty creates a powerful dopamine response in your brain. It's the same mechanism that makes gambling so addictive. The problem is, productive activities like studying, exercising, or building a business typically release much less dopamine, at least in the short term. They require effort now for rewards later, which your brain isn't naturally wired to prioritize. In today's digital society, you're constantly flooding your brain with unnaturally high amounts of dopamine, even if you don't realize it. You're becoming like those rats pulling the lever trying to get the next dopamine hit. When substances or activities that increase dopamine levels are consumed repeatedly, that affects dopamine tolerance. When you constantly expose your brain to high levels of dopamine, it starts to adapt. This adaptation can make it harder for you to feel pleasure from activities that release lower amounts of dopamine. In other words, your brain gets used to the high levels and starts to need more dopamine to feel the same effects. This is why activities that used to be enjoyable might start to feel less interesting or even boring. Here's where it gets really interesting for you. Your body has a biological system called homeostasis that tries to maintain balance. When you constantly flood your brain with high levels of dopamine, it adapts by downregulating your dopamine receptors. Think of it like alcohol tolerance. Someone who rarely drinks gets drunk easily, while a regular drinker needs much more alcohol to feel the same effects. Your brain develops a dopamine tolerance in the same way. When this happens, activities that release lower amounts of dopamine, like reading, studying, or working on long-term goals, become even less appealing to you. The gap between fun and productive activities grows wider. This can be a huge problem because things that don't give you as much dopamine won't interest you anymore. They'll feel boring and less enjoyable because they don't release as much dopamine as compared to the things that do release dopamine in high amounts. This is one reason why people who are addicted to high dopamine activities struggle to enjoy normal life. Their dopamine tolerance gets so high that everyday activities can't match it. And you and so many other people might be experiencing this without even realizing it. So how can you fix this problem? The answer is something called a dopamine detox. Doing a dopamine detox, while it may sound cliché, is based on solid neuroscience. You're simply giving your dopamine receptors time to recover and reset. Here's how to do a full dopamine detox. For one full day, eliminate all highly stimulating activities from your life. That means no internet or technology. No music. No junk food. No video games. And no TV or streaming. Basically nothing that gives you instant gratification. Instead, only allow yourself to go for walks in nature, meditate, write in a journal with pen and paper, reflect on your goals, be alone with your thoughts. I know this sounds intense, and yes, you will be bored. That's actually the point. You're temporarily starving your brain of dopamine to reset your natural dopamine sensitivity. Think of it like this. If you've been eating at 5-star restaurants every day, a simple home-cooked meal seems boring. But if you're stranded on a deserted island for a week, that same home-cooked meal suddenly tastes amazing. That's what the dopamine detox does for you. It may make you bored, but afterwards, your everyday activities will actually become interesting again. A full dopamine detox might feel too extreme to start with, since we are also accustomed to our habits. So here's a manageable approach as a starting point that will work. First, choose one high dopamine activity that consumes a lot of your time. Maybe it's social media, video games, or binge-watching shows. Then pick one day each week where you completely avoid that activity. You can still do other things, but your chosen activity is off limits for that entire day. This partial detox is less intense than avoiding all types of stimulating activities, but still gives your brain a chance to reset. And you'll notice something interesting. On those days, you'll naturally gravitate toward activities you normally put off. But the real game changer for you is what I call dopamine scheduling. Here's how to implement this system in your life. Start tracking all your difficult, low dopamine work. Things like studying, exercising, reading books, learning new skills, and working on various types of projects. For every completed hour of this productive work, reward yourself with 15 minutes of high dopamine activity at the end of the day. The keywords here are after and end of the day. If you indulge in high dopamine activities first, you'll lose all motivation for the hard work. So start with the difficult things, and only then allow yourself the reward afterwards. What you think now of as difficult things, step by step, will become less difficult, and you'll develop the habit of productivity. This means that for 4 hours of productive work, give yourself about an hour of guilt-free internet time or whatever else you want to do. You can adjust these ratios to what works for your specific situation. Start slow. It's easier than you think. So, what's your biggest high dopamine distraction? Let me know in the comments. The goal isn't for you to eliminate all pleasurable activities forever. That would be miserable. The goal is to create a healthier relationship with dopamine so you can enjoy both immediate pleasures and delayed gratification. Here are some practical tips you can implement today. Create dopamine boundaries. Set specific times for high dopamine activities rather than allowing them throughout your day. Maybe it's after 8 p.m. or only on weekends. Practice mindful consumption. When you do engage in high dopamine activities, be fully present and enjoy them consciously, rather than mindlessly. Find the dopamine in difficult tasks. Look for ways to make challenging activities more rewarding. For example, use a progress tracker that gives you a small hit of satisfaction every time you check something off. Build momentum with small wins. Start your day with a quick, achievable task to get that initial dopamine hit from accomplishment rather than distraction. And schedule regular detox days. Once you've reset your dopamine system, periodic maintenance is key. Also, make sure to try doing a full dopamine detox once a month. The most powerful shift happens when you start getting used to getting your dopamine from achievement rather than distraction. When you finish a difficult project, learn a new skill, or see progress in your fitness journey, you get a natural dopamine release that's both healthy and sustainable. We are all dopamine seekers, and that's actually a good thing when channeled properly. Dopamine is what motivates you to achieve your goals and improve yourself. The question is, where will you get your dopamine from? Will it be from things that provide quick hits but no long-term benefit? Or will it be from working toward meaningful goals that improve your life? Remember, your brain will naturally gravitate toward whatever gives it the most dopamine. By understanding and controlling this process, you can literally rewire your brain to enjoy doing more productive things to contribute to your success. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel reach more people who could benefit from this information. And if you're going to try a dopamine detox, even a partial one, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about your experience. Please like and subscribe for more science-based strategies to improve your productivity and well-being. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.